You're live now, sir.
Hari Om. Namaste to all. Namaste to all. Prostrating at the lotus feet of Brahmanishta Sadguru Swami Sri Virajeshwara Saraswati on behalf of all of us and the entire Guru Parampara. Today's discourse on the commentary on the Acharyas Viveka Chodamani will continue by his grace with the Mangalacharana shlokas. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Mahasaraswatyai Namaha. सदाशिवसमारम्भां श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्तगोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम् ॐ नमो भगवते विराजेश्वराय हरिः ॐ All these times in the last two discourses, I think Acharya Shankara Bhagavatpada is explaining in detail about the Manomaya Kosha, which is nothing but Anatma once again, not the real self. Manomaya Kosha, or what we call commonly as the mind, most powerful indriya in our body. So he continues on that. How this mind, one of the important part of our antakarana, controls all our actions. It decides everything and it binds us to this samsara, to this world of birth, death and rebirth. So he continues on that. Adhyasa dosha purushasya samsruti adhyasa bandhast amunaiva kalpitaha rajastamo doshavato avivekino janmadi dukkasya nidanametat adhyasa doshat purushasya samsrutihi adhyasa bandhastava amunaiva kalpitaha rajastamo doshavato avivekino janmadi dukkasya nidanametat. In this verse, that is verse number 179, we are commencing today the Vyakhyana or the explanation on the commentary. This is verse number 179. In this verse, the last two lines are the most important key phrases, are the key words. What is that? Rajastamaha doshavataha avivekinaha. Rajastama doshavataha avivekina janmadi dukkasya nidanam etat. Etat andre idu andre ee manassu, ee manomaya kosha. Etat means this mind, this manas or manomaya kosha. Rajastamaha doshavataha avivekinaha janmadi dukkasya nidanam. That is a key phrase in this shloka. ರಜೋತಮೋ ಗುಣಗಳಿಂದ ಕೂಡಿರತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಮೂಢ ಅಥವಾ ಅವಿವೇಕಿಯ ಸಂಸಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಆತನ ಜನ್ಮ, ಆತನ ಮರಣ, ಜನ್ಮದಿಂದ ಮರಣ ತನಕ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಅನುಭವಿಸುವ ಸುಖ ದುಃಖಗಳಿಗೆ ಏತತ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಮನಸ್ಸೇ, ನಿದಾನಂ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಾರಣ, ಮುಖ್ಯ ಕಾರಣ. ಸೊ ದ ಕೀ ಫ್ರೇಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಏತತ್ ನಿದಾನಂ ಜನ್ಮಾದಿ ದುಃಖಸ್ಯ. Nidanam means root cause. Etat means this mind, manomaya kosha, root cause for janmadi dukkasya. That is the key phrase. So, adhyasa doshat purushasya samsutihi adhyasa bandhastva amunaiva kalpitaha. Amunaiva andre this mind itself has created because of wrong identification with the body. Adhyasa means, in Vedanta, the word adhyasa, means superimposition, superimposing, wrong identifying, wrong identification. See, the mind thinks that itself, along with the body, is myself. Mind identifies with the body that I am, aham, I am this. So this is the adhyasa. This is the adhyasa means wrong identification. So adhyasa dosha, because of this wrong identification, man is involved in samsara. Man repeatedly has fallen into samsara, ocean of samsara, and then repeatedly is born, he lives, he suffers a lot with pain and pleasures, good things and bad things, good deeds and evil deeds, favorable things, unfavorable things, and finally he dies off, again to be reborn again. So this cycle continues. So who is responsible for this? Adhyasa dosha, by wrong identification. This man, by wrong identification, what type of man? Avivekinaha, rajastama doshavataha. Because of the rajoguna and tamoguna, because of predominance of rajas and tamas, the two important qualities of Maya itself. Everyone is influenced by rajoguna, super activity, or generally all types of activities. All types of actions are guided by rajoguna. Tamas, always deeply embedded ajnana, ignorance, avidya, laziness, inertness, jadatva, inert, always in the sleepy mode. So this raja and tama makes the person aviveki. So he becomes a deluded fool and he continuously falls into the samsara again and again, again and again. He continues to be in the samsara. This is because of wrong identification of the mind, which identifies itself with the body, physical body. I am this, I am this. Manassu, idu nanu anta ನಂಬಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಯಾವುದನ್ನ ಈ ಶರೀರವೇ ನಾನು ಅಂತ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಹುಟ್ಟಿನಿಂದ ಸಾವಿನ ತನಕ ನಾನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಶರೀರ ಅಂತ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಬಲವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದು ಅಧ್ಯಾಸಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾರಣ. ಅದು ನಿಜವಲ್ಲದ ವಸ್ತುವನ್ನು ನಿಜ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಅಧ್ಯಾಸ, ತಪ್ಪು ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಕಾರಣ. Then he continues, Acharya continues, Atha prahurmano avidyam pandita tattvadarshinaha yenaiva bhramyate vishvam vayuneva bhramandalam. Atah prahurmano avidyam pandita tattvadarshinaha yenaiva bhramyate vishvam vayuneva bhramandalam. Yenaiva bhramyate vishvam. Vayuneva abhramandalam. Vayuneva abhramandalam. Vayuna abhramandalam iva, if you split correct. So Acharya is giving an example here. What he says, Panditaha Tattvadarshinaha, two words. The same words are used in Bhagavad Gita by Lord for jnanis, for wise men, for realized saints, for enlightened masters, for the realized masters, for vivekis. All these words are there. Panditaha and Tattvadarshinaha, both are similar words. Panditaha Tattvadarshina means they are the realized, real knowers of truth. In Gita also the same words are there. Acharya is using the same words here. Panditaha Tattvadarshinaha ataha mano avidyam prahuhu. So Acharya says here, even the people, the knowers of the truth, ತಿಳಿದವರು, ಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು, ಪಂಡಿತರು, ತತ್ವದರ್ಶಿಗಳು, ಸಮದರ್ಶಿಗಳು, even they say that manah avidyam. So the realized people know and they say that the mind itself is avidya. In short, mind itself is avidya means it is covered by delusion of ignorance, ajnana. This mind itself is a non-entity. It itself generates and creates all types of actions in our body. It gives order and the body performs. And the mind itself is responsible for all your sorrow and grief and suffering and worry and tension, etc., etc., in our life. So mind itself is avidya. Jnanis say like that. And Acharya gives the example to substantiate this point. Yenaiva brahmyate vishwam vayuna iva abhramandalam. Just like the vayu, the air, the wind blows throughout the globe, throughout this jagat, the wind completely covers by its force. Just like the wind blows throughout the world, influences the entire jagat, abhramandalam, jagat. Just like that, enaiva brahmyate vishwam, the same mind also dilutes the world. World means the human mind. Dilutes the world means the entire human mind or the mind of the humanity at the samashti level, at the collective level, the minds of every individual put together, it will delude everyone. It will make him to believe that he is the body himself. So the mind projects, because of the influence of Maya, Avarana and Vikshepa Shakti, mind projects itself in such a way, because of the influence of Rajoguna and Tamoguna put together, it will make him to believe that he is the body. He is the physical body. So that's why always the common word in Vedanta, in English literature used is, when they say body, they mean body-mind complex. Because antakarana, the mind, is part of the body itself. It cannot exist without the body. And the body cannot exist without antakarana, internal component. See, they're all closely related. Anyonya ashraya bhava. One cannot live without the other one. So that's the point here. So the wise men, that is why they declare, look, the mind itself is a root cause for ajnana. So mind itself is avidya. At the individual level, avidya means ajnana. Avidya means maya. Avidya means ajnana or maya at individual level. So Acharya continues, तन्मनः शोधनं कार्यं प्रयत्नेन मुमुक्षुणा विशुद्धे सति चेतस्मिन् मुक्तिः करफलायते. तन्मनः शोधनं कार्यं प्रयत्नेन मुमुक्षुणा विशुद्धे सति चैतस्मिन् मुक्तिः करफलायते. मुक्तिः करफलायते. Liberation, salvation, realization appears spotlessly like a clear visible fruit in your hand. Mukti karaphalayate. Karaphalayate means the enlightenment appears so clearly, it happens so beautifully, it is just like clearly visible fruit in your hand. In your hand, in your hasta, clearly visible fruit. Mukti karaphalayate means. So Acharya says, तन्मनःशोधनं कार्यं प्रयत्नेन मुमुक्षुणा विशुद्धे सति चैतस्मिन् मुक्तिः करफलायते. ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ಮುಮುಕ್ಷ ಆದವನು ಚಿತ್ತಶುದ್ಧಿ ಮನಃಶುದ್ಧಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ದಿ ಮುಮುಕ್ಷು, the spiritual aspirant in the path of sadhana, the highest spiritual aspirant with all seriousness should always strive for chitta shuddhi, mano shuddhi, try for the purity of the mind. We have to try earnestly as much as possible to give up our rajoguna and tamoguna qualities. We should try to give up all our kamya karmas. All the karmas what we do for our sake, expecting some result, we should give up. Everything is being done by God. My body is only an instrument. I am only at His hand. Offering ourselves to the God, we have to do our work without expecting specific results. That is Karma Yoga. So by doing that constantly, and then by meditating or by doing japa or by kirtana or by taking God's name repeatedly, the possibility of mind becoming purer and purer is always there. So the mind full of rajas and tamas and sattva starts losing the potency of rajoguna and tamoguna gradually. When we try तन्मनशोधनं कार्यं प्रयत्नेन मुमुक्षुणा तन्मनशोधनं कार्यं. So the man mumukshu should, ಜಿಜ್ಞಾಸು ಛಲದಿಂದ ತನ್ನ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ ಏನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಧನೆಯ ಮಾರ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಆದಷ್ಟು ತನ್ನ ಆಸೆಗಳನ್ನ ಹತ್ತಿಕ್ಕಿ, ತನ್ನ ರಜೋಗುಣದ ಪ್ರಭಾವವನ್ನು ಹತ್ತಿಕ್ಕೋದಾಗ್ಲಿ, ತಮೋಗುಣ ಆಲಸ್ಯವನ್ನ ಅಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನ ತೊಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕಾಗ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರಲೇಬೇಕು. Then Acharya says, Vishuddhe sati chaitasmin. Vishuddhe sati chet asmin. Only when Vishuddhe sati san, when your mind becomes really pure, when your mind becomes Vishuddha Sattva, when your Rajoguna almost becomes zero, your innate Rajoguna tendencies go away. When your Tamoguna tendencies, born impressions from the previous birth, controlling your mind, when they go away, means we have to give up forcibly all our negative tendencies. We have to give up Raga and Dvesha first of all. We have to give up Kama and Krodha first of all. That's what. So when Rajoguna and Tamoguna, when they become subsided, when they almost reach the zero level, then Sattva only remains, predominates in the mind, Acharya says. Vishuddhe sati chaitasmin, when the mind really becomes Vishuddha Sattva, it becomes pure and pure, then only by the grace of God understood, muktihi karaphalayate. Realization happens automatically. Mukti karaphalayate. ಮನಸ್ಸು ಶುದ್ಧವಾದಾಗ, ಪರಿಶುದ್ಧವಾದಾಗ, ವಿಶುದ್ಧ ಸತ್ವಗುಣ ಉಂಟಾದಾಗ, ಸತ್ವಗುಣದಲ್ಲಿರೋ ರಜೋಗುಣ, ತಮೋಗುಣ, ಕಲ್ಮಶಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ದೂರ ಆದಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಸತ್ವಗುಣ ಪ್ರಧಾರಿತ ಮನಸ್ಸು ವಿಶುದ್ಧ ಸತ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ಏರಿದಾಗ ಮುಕ್ತಿ ಎನ್ನುವುದು ಕೈನಲ್ಲಿರೋ, ಅಂಗೈನಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಹಣ್ಣಿನ ಹಾಗೆ ಎದ್ದು ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಮುಕ್ತಿ ಕರಫಲಾಯತೆ. So what Acharya is hinting by taking the example of the fruit in hand, you can see the fruit in your hand very clearly. By looking at your hand, you can see the fruit here. So he is giving this example. You become automatically qualified by the grace of Sadguru or Lord God. You have to do all initial serious sadhana by offering all your actions to God, surrendering yourself totally at the feet of the God, doing all your work without expecting any result. without expecting any result. If I do this, it's very good for me. If I do that, it is very, very good for my wife. If I do this, very good for my children. See, not even a single expectation. Do the duty sincerely. Leave the result to the God. That is the simplest way of Karma Yoga to remember, as we have understood by the grace of Guru. No, don't expect anything. Things happen. You do your duty. So when you perform your actions like that, the initial efforts, rest, God will take care. Rest, God will know when to give you the result, when to give you the fruit of the mukti, a fruit called mukti or liberation. He will decide. Sadguru will decide. It happens by his grace, dhatu prasadena. Only by the grace of the Lord or Sadguru or God, the ultimate happens. You will experience directly the grace of the God in this birth itself. Mukti karaphalayate. I remember why here very insightful point to remember. In the Vyakhyana it comes. Acharya is hinting here, the one simple example happened earlier, as it is recorded in the life history of Acharya Shankara Bhagavatpada by Vidyaranya Muni in the book called Madhaviya Shankara Vijaya, the authenticated book, reverentially followed by Sringeri Sharada Peetham. In the worldwide, it has its own importance. This book in Sanskritam, Madhaviya Shankara Vijaya, deals with the life history of Acharya Shankara Bhagavatpada himself. Written by the sage Vidyaranya Muni. That was in 13th century, end of 13th century. So there in the 12th sarga, the chapter, the point, one relevant point comes in. When Acharya, along with his Shishyas, disciples, already he had procured Padmapadacharya as one of his principal disciples. He had already procured Sureshwaracharya as one of his principal disciples. And along with other people, he was moving down in the state of Karnataka. After visiting the Kollur, the Shaktipitha of Mukambika, Divine Mother Mukambika Kshetra in Kollur, in the coastal area of Karnataka state, just near Kundapur, he was passing down towards Sringeri. When Acharya with his disciples passing down in the coastal belt of the Karnataka region, he stops at a particular Agraharam, a small place called Sri Bali at that time, 1200 years before it is written as, he stops at a very small village full of ascetic people, full of Rutvik people, full of Sanskrit scholars, full of Shastrajñas, full of Veda, Parayana Nishtha people. Sri Bali is the name of the small village. Now, the same village, now it is called as Shivalli in the vernacular language. Now it is named as the village called Shivalli. Earlier it was called Sri Bali Agrahara. So when he passes there, he rests in the village. One Vedic poorest of the poor Brahmin fellow by name Prabhakara Bhatta comes and prostrates at the feet of the Acharya Shankara Bhagavatpada along with his son, who is 13-year-old. And this Brahmin Prabhakara Bhatta tells Acharya with the folded hands that my son is age-wise 13 years old. But right from the birth, he is deaf and dumb. He doesn't speak. He doesn't talk. He is lazy. He doesn't go out anywhere. He doesn't do anything. If anybody gives him food, he will eat. Otherwise, he will be sleeping on the floor itself. He is not doing any work. He is totally inert, totally jada. Being a Brahmin boy, I could not do anything with him. What to do? He is deaf and dumb, mentally retarded. What to do? Acharya, help me. See that the boy is becoming normal by your grace. Acharya looks at the boy. And see, the Madhaviya Shankara Vijaya continues this story. And he asks him, it's all in Sanskritam. He asks him, what is the matter with you, boy? Why are you keeping silent? Why are you deaf and dumb? Why you are not talking? From where you have come? What is your name? What is it you want to do in life? These questions. That 13-year-old boy who had not spoken hither so far immediately prostrates at the feet of the Acharya Shankara Bhagavatpada completely, Dandavat Pranam. He gets up with a folded hand and starts talking in Shuddha Sanskritam, verse after verse, verse after verse. 12 shlokas he recites, and they are now known as the famous 12 shlokas of Hastamalaka Stotra, as it is called now. And he simply says, the boy with the folded hands to the Acharya, to the dismay of the father, Prabhakara Bhatta, and onlookers, he simply says first time, holding with the folded hands. He says, see, what is written in Madhaviya Shankara Vijaya is in the words of Swami Vidyaranya. Actually, what the boy said was, Bhagavan, you are asking me, who am I? From where I have come? What is my name? What I am doing? Where I want to go? All these questions. But what answer I can give you? I am beyond the varnas. I am beyond the ashramas. I am neither a brahmachari, nor a grahastha, nor a vanaprastha, nor a sannyasi. I am neither a man, nor a woman, nor a child. Neither I am sukhi, nor I am dukhi. Neither I am a Brahmin, nor a Vaishya, nor a Shudra, or Kshatriya. I am beyond all these things. I am not even this body. This body is jada. This is inert. I am not this mind. I am Shuddha Buddha Mukta Atma Surabha Purnoham. I am only Tat. I am that. And he prostrates again by saying that in 12 slokas. Then Acharya Bhagavatpada was dismayed, surprised. He turns toward the father of the boy, to the father, Prabhakara Bhatta, and Acharya tells him, look, this boy whom you thought deaf and dumb, very inert, totally nishkriya, like a mentally retarded fellow, actually is the highest, greatest level Brahmajnani. He is a Brahma Vidvarishtha. He is beyond everything. He knows everything. He is personification of Parabrahma Sarupa. He is Sakshat Parabrahma Sarupa in the human body. Look, what all he spoke is nothing but, it is just like Amalaka, Phala, just like the fruit called gooseberry in your hand. In the hasta, if you keep the Amalaka fruit, you can see so clearly. So what all he spoke about the reality, supreme reality, it appeared just like a fruit in your hand. Amalaka is the fruit that is named for the gooseberry, as we call in Sanskritam. Hasta means hand. So I name him now, from now onwards, as Hastamalaka Acharya. And he tells the father, he is of no use to you. Give it to me. He is my disciple. I'll take away him with me. So that is how the third disciple, Hastamalaka Acharya, was, he appeared there in the life history of Acharya Shankara Bhagavatka. So the word Hastamalaka means Amalaka, fruit visible in your hand. I remember that. Muktikara Halayate. So Acharya is using that. When the mind becomes pure and pure, when vasanas almost go away, when you stop doing your kamya karmas, stop doing work expecting some result, that you should, if I do this, this will happen. I have to earn more money because I want happiness. I have to earn more money because my children can lead very wonderful life. God knows whether they lead wonderful life or not. Nobody knows. The person thinks, look at the personalities, famous personalities, celebrities, how much money they are making by hook or crook in their lifetime. You know yourself. Look at the world. Look at our country. Look at all the politicians. Look at all famous people. Crores and crores and crores and crores and crores of black money they are generating, thinking that the money will help them, thinking that this money will put their children, grandchildren in the pedestal of heaven itself. Look at the folly. They don't know the truth. The more they indulge in nefarious evil karmas, the same evil karmas will come back to them boomerang, and they have to reap the most horrible fruits in their next hundreds of generations. They don't know that. They don't know that. Okay, we have digressed a lot. Acharya continues. मोक्षैकसक्त्या विषयेषु रागं निर्मूल्य सन्न्यस्य च सर्वकर्म सच्छ्रद्धया यः श्रवणादिनिष्ठो रजस्वभावं स धुनोति बुद्धेः. मोक्षैकसक्त्या विषयेषु रागं निर्मूल्य सन्न्यस्य च सर्वकर्म सच्छ्रद्धया यः श्रवणादिनिष्ठो रजस्वभावं स धुनोति बुद्धेः. मोक्षैकसक्त्या विषयेषु रागं निर्मूल्य सर्वकर्म सन्न्यस्य. ಕೀ ಫ್ರೇಸ್. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕರ್ಮಗಳನ್ನ, ಅಪೇಕ್ಷಿತವಾದಂತಹ ಕಾಮ್ಯ ಕರ್ಮಗಳು, ಇಚ್ಛೆಯಿಂದ, ಆಸೆಯಿಂದ, ಫಲಾಸಕ್ತಿಯಿಂದ ಮಾಡೋ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕರ್ಮಗಳನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮೋಕ್ಷವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಬೇಕು ಆಸೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ವಿಷಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ರಾಗ, ಮೋಹ, ವ್ಯಾಮೋಹವನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಶ್ರದ್ಧೆಯಿಂದ ಸದ್ಗುರುವಿನ ದರ್ಶನ, ಶ್ರವಣದಿಂದ ಮನನ, ಈ ಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮನಸ್ಸು ತೊಡಗಿದರೆ ಆಗ ರಜಸ್ವಭಾವಂ ಸ ದುನೋತಿ ಬುದ್ಧಿ. ಈ ಮನಸ್ಸು ರಜೋಗುಣವನ್ನ ಕಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಕ್ಕೆ, ತಮೋ ಗುಣವನ್ನ ಕಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಕ್ಕೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಶುದ್ಧಿಗೆ ಸಹಾಯವಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಇದು. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಹಿ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ, ಮೋಕ್ಷೈಕ ಸತ್ಯ ವಿಷಯೇಷು ರಾಗಂ ನಿರ್ಮೂಲ್ಯ ಸನ್ಯಸ್ಯ ಚ ಸರ್ವಕರ್ಮ ಸಚ್ಶ್ರದ್ಧಯಾಯ ಶ್ರವಣಾದಿನಿಷ್ಠೋ ರಜಸ್ವಭಾವಂ ಸುಧುನೋತಿ ಬುದ್ಧೇ. See, by dedication, effort, and concentration and conviction, if a mumukshu, jijnasu, gets rid of all his attachments, cuts down his raga and dvesha, his attachments, does the work without expecting anything, if he involves in karma yoga himself, renounces all his actions, means all kamya karmas. Renouncing sarva karma sannyasa means technically not simply sitting quiet in a corner of the house. We have to do certain karmas. We cannot remain without karma at all. So sarva karma sannyasya means doing the work, karma, or the deeds or the actions, offering ourselves to the Lord for the sake of the Lord, with the help of Ishvara Samarpana Bhava, only to please the God. Ishvara Prityartham, Acharya uses these words elsewhere number of times. To please the God, let me do the work as a seva in the world as I am born. Let me do the work, let me do the karma for the family members, whatever it is, as a seva to the God. Not expecting any result here, that if I do this one, something will happen. If I help somebody, something will happen. Not like that. Offering ourselves to the God, doing for the sake of the God, for the bhakti, for the love of the God. So when we do the actions like that, then sat shraddhaya shavanadinishtaha rajasvabhavam sa dunoti buddhe. And when you become shavanadinishtaha, when you go to a guru, when you meet a Sadguru, sit at his lotus feet, listen, Shavana, hear and listen what he says, his Upadesha, internalize, manana, reflect on that. So if you are fortunate to meet a Sadguru and listen to him attentively, follow his Upadesha correctly, Shavana, Manana, Nididhyasana, then start meditating as per his advice. After Manana, Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana in short means, in brief, meditation, dhyana. Japa, it includes either japa or dhyana, whatever it is. In short, I am briefly summarizing. So if you continue that in the presence of a Sadguru, listening to his Upadesha, reflecting on that Upadesha, Shavanadi, etc., listening, Manana, reflecting, contemplating, thinking repeatedly what Guru said, recollecting repeatedly what Guru has said, reading the books about the Guru Vachana or the Upadesha, lest we forget it, reflecting, thinking, reflecting, and then doing japa or meditation, nididhyasana. By doing that, what happens? Rajasvabhavam sa dunoti buddhe. So, Rajasvabhavam dhunoti, he will get rid of rajas and tamas effects in his life. The effects of rajoguna, tamoguna will be nullified by these actions. ತನ್ನ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನ ರಜೋಗುಣ ತಮೋಗುಣಗಳನ್ನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧನ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಶ್ರವಣಾದಿಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಸದ್ಗುರುವಿನ ಬಳಿಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ he should go to a Sadguru earnestly and do all these things, whatever he says. My Gurudev once, long back, while talking on these things, at a higher level, he was telling me, very deeply he was telling me, how people mistake that by looking at a Sadguru himself, everything is done. It is not like that, he said. The sight of a Sadguru doesn't give you a guarantee of salvation, he said. Just because you go to a Sadguru, a Brahmanishta Sadguru, there is no guarantee at all that you are liberated now itself in this birth. No. He said, there are number of qualifications, number of tests you have to pass through. There are number of steps you have to go through. My Sadguru told me in person. He said, Gurudeva said, there are number of steps to be graced by Sadguru, to be graced by God. ಪರಮಾತ್ಮನ, ಭಗವಂತನ ಅಥವಾ ಸದ್ಗುರುವಿನ ಅಥವಾ ಆತ್ಮನ ಕೃಪೆ ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಾಧನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಸದ್ಗುರುಗಳು, ನನ್ನ ಗುರುದೇವರು ನನಗೆ ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಹೇಳಿದರು. ಏನದು? Our Gurudev said, step wise, he said, remember these things, he said. Guru Shushrusha, number one. Guru Shushrusha means Guru Seva, number one. Followed by Shravana, listening. Listening the Guru's words. Shravana, number two. Followed by Grahana, number three. Grahana means correctly incorporating, remembering what the Guru has spoken. Internalizing, it is called. Arthavana sariyagi grahisodu, grahana, number three. Then fourth one, manana, contemplation, reflection. ಮನನ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಪುನರಾವರ್ತನೆ ಮೆಲುಕು ಹಾಕೋದು. ಗುರುಗಳು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದನ್ನು ನೆನಪಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ಗುರುಗಳು ಹೀಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಅಂತ ನೆನಪು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮನನ. ಮನನ, ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಷನ್, ರಿಮೆಂಬರಿಂಗ್, ರಿಕಲೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ what all Guru said. Every day, every time, every day, because you forget tomorrow. So fourth one is, first one is Guru Seva, followed by Shravana, followed by Grahana, followed by fourth one, Manana. Then he said, Uha Poha. You have to do Uha Poha. Uha Poha means Uha plus Apoha, two words combined. Uha Poha means questioning yourself in your own mind. You have to put the question, you have to find the answer. What Guru said, is it like this or is it like that? So you take up a doubt in your own mind, look into Swadhyaya by other scriptures, the holy books, see any contradiction is there about what Guru said in those books. Especially Upanishads are the Pramanas. So you think you have a doubt and then you try to clarify yourself the doubts. Uha Poha. So you should become adept in that. That is the fifth one, I think. Then Dharana. Dharana means retaining the ultimate point, what Guru said. After Manana and Uha Poha, reflection and then contemplation and then rethinking, trying to clarify whatever doubts are there in our mind by ourselves, by deep analysis. Then Dharana. Dharana also means, Gurudev said, Dhyana. Other word for Dharana, he said, Dhyana. Constant meditation. All these steps you have to do as a personal efforts. It is in your hand, he said. Up to this, up to Dhyana or Dharana, it is in your hand. It is a personal effort, sincerely to be done. Then next two are not in your hand, he said. The next two steps are in the hands of Sadguru or God. What are the next two last steps? Padartha Jnana and final one, Atma Darshana. Tattva Darshana, other words. Gurudev used these words. So finally, Padartha Jnana happens by the grace of Lord or Sadguru. Padartha Jnana means you are almost realized. You are almost 99.99999% you can call. You are almost realized. You are just one step behind realization. So God graces, Sadguru graces. He makes you fit to receive the final beatitude of self-knowledge. So Padartha Jnana will occur in the mind. All the doubts will go away. All the doubts are carried off. No more doubts. No more doubts. No more spiritual doubts. That is Padartha Jnana. You are almost a Jnani. Almost. And finally, Atma Darshana, Tattva Darshana. The very next stage, which happens in a flash of a second, is Atma Darshana or Tattva Darshana. You become realized. So these are the steps Guru said. Steps in sadhana. I repeat. Steps in spiritual sadhana, Gurudev said. Guru Seva. He starts with that first. Guru Seva, followed by Shravana, followed by Grahana, followed by Manana, followed by Uhapoha, followed by Dharana or Dhyana, followed by finally Padartha Jnana and Atma Darshan. With the highest level knowledge he was imparting on a one-to-one basis long back to me. I remember this. Then suddenly, by his own grace, for the sake of posterity, a question appeared in the mind, here in me. I took the permission of Gurudeva to ask a question. He said, yes. Then the question came from my mouth. I asked Gurudeva, Gurudeva, there are so many spiritual aspirants, sincere spiritual seekers, but unfortunately, they might not have met a Sadguru now in their lifetime so far. They have longed sincerely to be guided by a Sadguru, but they have not met. They have not been associated with a Sadguru or a realized Brahmajnani. So when such people, if they don't find a Sadguru in this life, what is their plight? What is their fate? They know that so and so is a Sadguru, but they could not meet him because already he has left the body. He is no more in the physical body. Then what to do? Then Gurudev remained silent for a few seconds. I was waiting for an answer. Then Gurudev said, any mumukshu, serious jijnasu, serious spiritual aspirant, if he wanted to see a Sadguru in physical form, but who has already left the body, he need not feel sorry about that. He can meet any one or two, the closest Antaranga Shishyas of such a Sadguru who has left the body. Those Antaranga Shishyas radiate the same knowledge of Guru has given them, and by looking at them, following their advice and doing the seva to those people, it reaches Sadguru immediately. So let them not feel sorry that they had no occasion, that they could not do any Guru seva because Guru is no more in the body form. They wanted to do the Guru seva first, or Guru Shushrusha. Guru seva can be done by three ways, our Gurudev said. Kaya, Vacha, Manasa. Kaya, Vacha, Manasa. Threefold Guru seva. So if it is not possible for anybody, because the Guru has already left the body, physical body, they can consider, treat the one or two, the closest Antaranga Shishyas of such a Sadguru, and do the seva to such Shishyas. It is as good as it will be reaching the Sadguru. That's what our Gurudev said. And he gave an example, one or two examples to make it very clear. He took the example of Swami Adbhutananda, one of the 12 primary disciples of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Maharaj in Calcutta. People who came to know about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa life later, after Paramahamsa left the body, they were astonished. They were feeling sorry that they could not see him when he was alive. When some of them came to Swami Adbhutananda, they saw Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Swami Adbhutananda himself. Remember, Swami Adbhutananda was an illiterate person. He was earlier known as a Latu, totally illiterate. only by the grace of Paramahamsa he became a Brahmajnani, highest Brahmajnani, like Hastamalkacharya. So people saw Ramakrishna Paramahamsa in Adbhutananda himself, and they were blessed, and they did all the seva to him, and they were totally blessed. The grace was there in their life. Gurudev gave the example. Gurudev gave another example of Mahendranath Gupta also. People who came to know about Mahendranath Gupta then started treating him as their guru and did all the Guru Seva to him, and they also became realized because Mahendranath Gupta was totally blessed, graced by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa himself. So, these are the small things our Gurudev, but profound things he said. We have to remember such things in life. So, initial efforts we have to do. We have to do. Final beatitude, God will take care. God will look after. Then Acharya continues, Manomayo napi bhavet paratma adyantavatvat parinami bhavat dukkhatmakatvat vishayatvaheto drashta hi drushyatmataya na drushtah. Manomayopi napi bhavet paratma adyantavatvat parinami bhavat dukkhatmakatvat vishayatvaheto drashta hi drushyatmataya na drushtah. Manomaya na api bhavet paratma. Very first line in the shloka. ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಈ ಮನೋಮಯ ಕೋಶ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಮನಸ್ಸು, ಈ ಅಂತಃಕರಣ ವೃತ್ತಿ, ಪ್ರಬಲವಾದ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಖಂಡಿತ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆತ್ಮನಾಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಪದಾರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. So Acharya is very clear cut telling this mind cannot be the Paramatma, this mind manomaya kosha cannot be the Atma Swarupa, this cannot be the Parabrahma Vastu, Adyantavatvat Parinami Bhava, because it has a beginning and it has an end. This mind has a beginning and it has an end. And it goes on changing as the days pass through. See, mind is projected when the birth occurs, human birth occurs. Mind is confined to the body. And when the human body dies, the mind also will die. Then Acharya says, this is Adyantavatvat. There is no beginning, there is no end for the mind. No, I'm sorry, I'm putting it wrong. Acharya says, Adyantavatvat. It has a beginning and it has an end. It is generated when the birth occurs. It will die when the death occurs. So, whatever is born, whatever is going to die cannot be Brahma Vastu, Brahma Padartha. Because Atma Vastu, Parabrahma Vastu is Adi Antarahita Vastu. It has no beginning, it has no end. Neither it is born nor it will die. It is Aja and Amara. It is ever existing, non-changing, eternal, omnipresent. All these words. All these words. There was some disturbance, I think.
Yes, sir. Now you're audible. Now you're audible, sir.
There was some, I don't know how it happened. So the mind itself, its innate nature is suffering. दुःखात्मकत्वात् विषयत्व हेतो दृष्टा हि दृश्यात्मतया न दृष्टः. Mind, its innate nature is always suffering, worrying, fearing about the future consequences. What will happen tomorrow? What will happen next year? What will happen next month? So the very nature of the mind is fickleness. ಮನಸ್ಸಿನ ಮೂಲ ಅಥವಾ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನ ರೀತಿ, ಮನಸ್ಸಿನ ಗುಣಲಕ್ಷಣ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವತ್ತಿದ್ರೂ ಚಂಚಲ ಸ್ವಭಾವ. ಇವತ್ತೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಾಳೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ರೀತಿ ಯೋಚನೆ, ತಳಮಳ, ಉದ್ವೇಗದಲ್ಲೇ ಮನಸ್ಸಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ, ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಆದಿ ಅಂತ್ಯ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ, ದೇಹ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದಾಗ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ದೇಹ ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಹೋಯ್ತಲ್ವಾ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆದಿ ಇದೆ, ಅಂತ್ಯ ಇದೆ. ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಪರಮಾತ್ಮನಾಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಬೈ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ನೇಚರ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅನ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅನ್ ಇಂದ್ರಿಯ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಂತಃಕರಣ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನಲ್ ಕಾಂಪೋನೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅನ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ as a component, as an indriya, when the mind itself is an object, how it can become subject? See, the last line of the shloka, drashta hi drishyatmatayana drushtah, means the seer. If I see a flower, if I see for example, a rose flower in front of me, please remember, this is an important point here. When I look at a rose flower in my hand, I look at the flower and I believe and I think and I say, this is a rose flower. Who is saying that it is a rose flower? The flower is not saying, it is only an object in my hand. I am saying by my words, I am conveying, I am saying that this is a rose flower. So I am the seer. I am the drishta. I am the drishta. I am the seer. And the flower in the hand is drushya, object. So I am the drishta. The flower is not drishta. So mind is an object. It cannot be drishta. Mind cannot be the seer. That is the point. I hope I have made little bit clear. Drishta hi drishyatmataya na drushtah. So the seer cannot be the object cannot be the seer. Drushya cannot be drushta, drushta cannot be the drushya. So mind as an object cannot be Paramatma Swarupa or Atma Swarupa or Brahma Vastu. So mind is seen as an object. So hence it cannot be Atman. It is also Jada, inert. It has identified itself with the body, that's all. It is mithya, unreal, ultimately. Asatya, asat. So by this Acharya concludes this Manomaya Kosha, the discourse on this potent mind factor. Because mind is so important, so he took so many verses to convey the feeling about the mind. So this is an important aspect we have to remember. And by the Sankalpa of Guru today, I think this is the 183rd shloka. We are stopping here. Next discourse, Vijnanamaya Kosha, we will commence. That is a discourse on Vijnanamaya Kosha. That is, Vijnanamaya Kosha means nothing but your buddhi, intellect, next step, higher than mind. It is also antakarana only, but higher than mind. We will take up that in the next discourse. So with the Guru Sankalpa, I am stopping here with a short Rama bhajan. Sri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama. 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Om Namo